Hey guys, got a super easy Uncle Sam inspired gnome. Want to know how to make him? Stick around. I'll show you how. These are all the supplies you're going to use, and I'll go through them as I do each individual step. First thing we're going to need is a 6-inch pool noodle, 2 6-inch and by 1/4-inch sticks, 6 corks, a circle out of faux fur, and a couple tennis shoes. Okay, I went ahead and cut out my patterns for my legs. We're going to go ahead and build our legs. We're going to go ahead and hem up the bottom and then the side on both of them so that we'll have a nice crisp edge on the back of his leg. Just fold those in. And this is a 2 1/4-inch pool noodle I'm using. If you need to use a noodle that's a little bit bigger than that, you will need to scale the pattern. Or use something besides a pool noodle, but 2 1/4 inches is the max on the hat that I made for this pattern. We're going to take our 6 corks and we're going to put them on our 6-inch sticks and just kind of turn them until they're lined up a little bit even. All the corks are a little bit different, but you can line them up. Then we're going to go ahead and take our shoes. We're going to put some glue inside of it, and we're going to go ahead and glue in our legs. Once you get these legs in here, just look at them really good from the side and make sure that they stand up straight. Just kind of get them pretty straight so that when they stand up in that pool noodle, they're not leaning forward or backwards. All right, then we're going to lay that shoe right onto that fabric with our seam in the back, and we are going to glue that leg, that pant leg, right to that shoe with that seam in the back. We're just going to go ahead and glue around and glue it down. And then we're going to come right up the back of the leg and we are going to glue the leg up. Now I made this fabric a little bit long on this. You can cut it off. Once I got my slits put in it, I cut off probably about 1/2 inch. So you could cut your pattern a little bit shorter to start with. Again, we're going to do the same thing with this leg. We're going to wrap it around the shoe, make sure our seam is in the back. And then we're going to glue that to the shoe because we want it to stay on the shoe. And then we're going to do that all the way around, and then again go up the back of that leg and glue that down. After we get that all glued down, all the way down the back, just make sure you just glue it to the fabric and not to the other side of the fabric. Put your finger in there, make sure. And then we're just going to go ahead and cut some slits in it about 1/4 inch apart. And this is how we're going to attach it to our pool noodle so that we can make sure our leg stays on our noodle. So just cut 1/4 inch slits, and I cut it a little bit too, I made the fabric a little bit too long, so then I went back in and I cut about 1/2 inch off of that, and you could cut that off at the beginning if you wanted to save yourself some time on this step. Just about 1/2 inch too long. Then I'm going to go ahead and take my pool noodle. I went ahead and cut my little holes into it. It just space them straight across from each other, and when you put your shoe on, make sure your right's on the right and the left's on the left, and glue that leg in there. And then we're going to take the fabric and we're just going to glue it right up that noodle to hold it onto the noodle. And you're not going to see any of these flaps once you get your shirt put on it, so don't worry about how it looks right now because it is going to be covered up. Just get them on there good and tight so that they do stay on, so if somebody were to pull that leg, it's not going to come off. Just glue it to the noodle itself. Then we're going to go ahead and take the other leg, do the same thing, fold the fabric back. We're going to put glue down inside the noodle, and then we're going to stick that leg right up in there. And you might want to check to make sure it's straight at this point, because you do have a little bit of room to wiggle it a little bit if you need to. And then we're going to go ahead and slit that and we'll keep gluing that down just like we did the other side. And again, you're not going to see this once we get the shirt on it. Just all the way up on all of them. Alright, once we have that done, we're going to take our white circle that comes out of the bottom of the hat that we cut out already. Just stick it in there, and we are going to cut some slits on both sides so it will lay down in the front and lay down in the back. Cut the inseam out a little bit, stick it back in there, glue that in, and then in a little while we'll glue the middle part in. And this is just going to hold it all together, and if anybody were to look up underneath there, they would just see a nice white piece of foam in there instead of a bunch of fabric. Now we're going to build his hat. We're going to go ahead and cut it out of craft foam. As you see, that has an oval. The wide sides are the sides. You're going to take the top, you're going to take glue and put on the chipboard, glue it to the top, and this will give it a little sturdiness at the top. Then we're going to take our sides and we are going to glue them down just 1/4 inch. Don't go more than 1/4 inch or you won't get him on your noodle. And again, if you need to scale this for a bigger noodle, be sure that you scale all the pieces of the hat together to the same size. Go ahead and glue that on down. And again, 1/4 of an inch at the top, 1/4 of an inch at the bottom. Right there. Okay, then we're going to go ahead and attach that to the top. And probably the easier way to do that would have been to put the glue onto the top base, but I put it around the edges. You can do it either way because our little foam is going to cover it up when we're done. And then you're also going to cut another piece of foam that's 1/4 inch by 10 inch, and that's going to go around the base. I didn't show it in this picture here, but I do have it included in the listing on the pattern. Just glue that all the way around till it's completely in there. And we're not putting a lot of, we're not building this up with card or chipboard because our noodle is going to be inside of that all the way in, and that's what's going to give it its sturdiness. Okay, now that we got that done, we're going to just take that in half and find the center of the front, and we're just going to glue that all the way around just to cover up any of the glue that you might still see from putting on that top. And we're just going to go all the way around and then glue it off in the back. And if you put the glue onto the strip itself, you get a little bit less glue and you won't see it. If you put it onto the hat, it might ooze out more, so just put it on the strip only. And then get that really glued in good, and then we're going to attach our base to it. We're just going to take our base, and remember that the oval side, the wider sides are the sides, so when you put it on there, make sure that those go to the side, and then the front and the back go to the back. Slip it on there, and we're going to go almost all the way to the edge, but not quite to the edge, because we are going to add another strip. So probably about 1/4 of an inch from the edge, and then make it sure it fits good. And then we're going to go ahead and leave it on the hat, and we're going to put our strip on it onto the noodle. And then we're going to take our glue, and we are going to run a bead around the edge, all the way around the edge of the bottom of the hat and the brim, just to kind of hold them together. Then we're going to take our other piece of 1/4 inch foam, and we are going to attach it to the edge and the noodle. So go ahead and attach that all the way around just to trim that out nicely. And be sure when you get to the back seam to cut it off because you want your seams in the back. And then take the other side and glue it on around to finish it out. This just gives it a nice finished edge when you finally get everything put together. And it's also the edge that we're going to attach everything to. So go ahead and cut that off and glue that on down. All right, after we get that all done, then we're going to go ahead and turn it back over, and we're going to attach his little trim. You're going to take that with the lower side down and trim it all the way around, and it is made just to fit perfectly on that hat. Glue on the center first, and then go all the way around, and it's going to meet right in the middle. You're not going to have an overlap on this one in the back. It's going to meet right in the middle. If you didn't get it exactly right and it doesn't meet in the middle, you can stretch your foam just a little bit and it will meet up with the back of it. But it is made to fit right evenly in the middle flush. Just get plenty of glue on there and hold it down till it dries. All right, there you have the hat. All right, now we're going to go ahead and we're going to build the body. We're going to cut our pieces out of the fabric, and then I'm using some piping too that has a little cord in the middle of it. I'm just take that piping, go all the way around that bottom edge of the back of his jacket, cut it off, and then we're going to cut slits in it so that we can glue it on, and it goes all the way around real easy. Probably about 1/4 of an inch slits all the way around. Not through the cord though. Make sure you do not cut through your cord. And then we're going to take our slits with our cord towards the middle, and we are going to glue that all the way around. Just continue to stretch it around there, and since you have cut out those little slits, it should curve around there real easily. And this will be a nice piping on our jacket when we get it opened back up. It just gives it a nice little trim to add a little bit of accent to it. I'm going to cut that piece off, then we're going to take the other side of the back of the jacket, and we are going to glue that straight down on top. If you have a sewing machine, you can sew this as well. All my patterns are set up for sewing as well. Just glue that all the way down, and make sure you get plenty of glue because you do not want any opening when you turn that right side out. Okay, then we're going to let that dry really, really good. We're going to put it aside, and we're going to go ahead and build the body. to make sure that's glued in there real good. Okay, now we're going to take the bigger piece, and this is going to be the body. We're going to hem up one side so we have a nice seam down the back, and then we're going to hem up the bottom so we have a nice seam along the bottom as well. Don't worry about doing the top, because when we get our cuff on there, it'll cover all that up. So just two sides on this only. Okay, then we're going to take our noodle and we are going to wrap it around, and we are going to go just below that white edge that we added that trim. Going to glue a little bit down there on the back, and then we're going to go ahead and glue it all the way down because we want this flush with the body. Go all the way around and get that glued in really, really well, and that's going to be his shirt. And then we're going to go ahead and take the white pieces underneath, and at that point go ahead and press those on in there flush with his legs, and then that will clean that opening up in the bottom really nice. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and finish out his jacket. This is going to be the vest part of his jacket, and we are going to hem up two sides and the bottom on this. Again, don't worry about hemming up the top because it is going to be covered up by the collar. Okay, once we get that all made, then we're going to take the bottom part of our jacket and we're going to attach it to the top vest part that we just made. Okay, take your bottom part of your jacket and go ahead and turn it right side out. And then I'm going to just take like a bone folder that I use for like paper crafting, and I'm going to stick it in there and just kind of smooth it around to make sure all of that's pushed out. Now don't push too hard because you do not want your glue to pop open. But if you glued it good, you're not going to have that problem. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and take that and just smash it down, make sure it's flat. Then we're going to go ahead and attach it to the bottom part of the vest, and we are going to gather it so that it comes in a 1/2 inch on each side. We're going to start in our gathering about 1 inch in on each side. So we only want just the very middle part of the bottom of our jacket to be gathered. Just go in and out by there about 1/4 inch all the way through, just in the middle section, leaving 1 inch on each side. And then we're going to go ahead and gather it to fit where we have a 1/2 inch on each side. Once you get that gathered, go ahead and tie that off. And then we are going to glue that to the top part of our jacket. But we're going to glue it on the underside. Our jacket vest part is going to cover the top part of that. Find the center, put a little dab of glue, and then we're going to go ahead and attach our bottom to that. And we're going to glue it straight across. So make sure that glue's straight across. Pull those on open till they're straight. Going to do it for both sides. You make it, pull it on over there, glue it down so it's straight across. And that'll complete our little jacket. Okay, then we're going to take our jacket and we're going to put it on. Just find the center point for the back, and we're going to glue that down. And again, don't worry about the top part edge being open because we are going to cover that with a cuff. Just glue that vest on down, or that jacket on down on both sides and around the bottom and the top, and then glue that in so that jacket's completely sealed on. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and take the little belt for the back of our jacket, and we are going to hem up all 4 sides on this. Just glue them all up about 1/4 inch on all 4 sides. After we get that all glued up, we're going to add a couple of buttons to it to kind of dress up the back of his belt. I'm just taking some solid gold some buttons. You can use whatever you want to. Okay, and I'm just going to add a dollop of glue. They kind of stand up a little bit. And I'm going to glue those on. Just probably add a lot of glue, not too much so you don't see it, but enough to hold those onto there. Okay, and then we're going to do that for both sides. Okay, and let that dry really, really good. Okay, we're going to go ahead and build his arms. We're going to take our 1/2 inch hair noodle. We're going to go ahead and cut it in half. And then we are going to pull the wires down a little bit in the bottom. And we're going to cut those off flush so that they're even. And then just hold them up to your gnome and make sure that the arms are to the length that you want them to, because you can trim it at this point, but it'll be hard to trim later. Then put a little bit of glue in the bottom and glue that wire right back in there with that stopper on the bottom of it. Pull the wire out of the front, and we're going to go ahead and cut it flush with the noodle. And we're going to do that for both sides. Go ahead and pull that back, glue that in. And if you have any excess hanging over, go ahead and cut that off. All right, now we're going to go ahead and take our fabric and we're going to build our arms. We're just going to go up the bottom, hem it up 1/4 of an inch, and we're going to hem up the side 1/4 of an inch. And we're going to do that for both sides. Okay, when we attach our noodle, we're just going to go right up to the edge of where our hem was, and we're going to go ahead and glue it right there, because we are going to have to add a little bit of cuff, and it'll give us a little bit more room to put our bead. We're going to put our bead in last. So go ahead and glue those down just up to the edge of where you hem that up, roll it up, and glue it in. All right, then we're going to go ahead and put those aside, trim any excess off at the top, and we're going to go ahead and build our cuff. Go up one side and the other side. We're going to go up all the sides on this one, except for one side, and that one side's going to be covered up with the seam. And then I did cut his arms just a little bit short on his clothing, so when we actually put it onto the gnome itself, you'll see, and so I did adjust the pattern accordingly, so your pattern will be a little bit longer. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and attach our arm, and we're just going to come down below the 1/4 inch seam that we just made. We're going to fold the unfinished end and glue it down, and then we're going to glue the finished end over the top. Now it will be a little bit floppy. It's not going to be flush with the jacket completely. It's going to be a little bit on the open end, so you're just going to go back in and add a little bit of glue to hold it in, but it is kind of an oversized cuff. Again, we're just going to come down and glue it in about 1/4 of an inch down. Glue the end that is not finished, and the one that is finished over the top, and then again add a couple little dollops of glue inside that cuff to hold it in, because it is a little bit oversized. Okay, now that we got our arms all made, we're going to go ahead and take them, and we are going to attach them to our body. You're just going to bend the top part of it over, and then we're going to end up putting a stick in it, and we're going to cut a hole into the side of the fabric to hold that stick in. And I cut like 1.5 inch sticks to go in there, so just cut that through, measure it down. I could measure down about 1 inch to mine, and I did the same thing on both sides. So make sure your arms are even. So do take the time to do a measurement on them to make sure they're even. Then I took my sticks, made sure that they go in there, bend them down, and we're going to attach it to our body. And we will go back and glue those in. So we just want to make sure that they're where they need to be. Bend that over pretty heavily so it's like a shoulder. And this is where I kind of messed up a little bit, because I'm having to trim my noodle off a little bit. Put that stick on in there, and then we're going to go ahead and attach it too. Then we're going to go ahead and take those, and we're going to glue them in. We just want to make sure that they fit good in there before we glue them in, because once they're glued, you can't unglue them. Okay, now we got them where we want to. We're going to take our glue, stick it down into that noodle, stick that stick in there, and we're going to let those dry really, really good before we put our arms on. Do the same thing for the opposite side. Just take that stick, stick it on down there. Just leave about maybe 3/8 of an inch sticking out to put the arm on. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and attach our little belt to the back of our jacket. Just take a little bit of glue and glue that in. Just right on the back to kind of give it a nice finished little touch. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and attach our arms. We're going to put a little bit of glue on the arm, stick it up on that stud, hold it on there till it dries really good. And then we're going to do the same thing for the opposite side. Just put a little glue in there and push that stud up on there and glue it in. All right, now he's got his arms in there. We're going to go ahead and do his beard. We're going to take our faux fur, and we are going to cut just behind the faux fur all the way around this pattern. And then we're going to clean off the excess fur off of it. Then we're going to take our faux fur, because we don't have an edge. We are going to fold over the top just about 1/4 of an inch on the top, because that's going to go just flush up against that edge. And we're just going to glue that right up against the edge of that hat. Just push that right up on top of that white band and just glue that in. And after we get that all glued in, then we're just going to lift it up and we're going to glue it down to his body. Just a little bit of glue on there just to glue it down. All right, now we're going to go ahead and take the collar, and we are going to attach it to the body, and we're going to put that right up against the top edge of that band that we put at the bottom of the hat. And we're going to glue that down just all the way around the top edge of that jacket. And we're going to glue that down. Make sure where your center is. Hold it up there, and then we're going to pull it back, and then we are going to attach it to the body. Right along the top edge of that hat. And that'll keep that all trimmed out nicely. And we're going to do the same thing for the opposite side. Just get that glued in there, and then that's going to be the collar for his jacket. All right, and let that dry real good. Once we get that done, we're going to put a little dollop of glue on the nose, and we're going to attach it right up to the edge of the hat, right in the center of that beard. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and attach some stars. You can decorate his hat however you want to. I'm just kind of making it more like the Uncle Sam look with the stars on the hat. Just going to add 6 of them. I'm going to put one big one in the middle, and then I'm going to go around the edge with the other 5. And you can put stripes on his hat. You can put stars on his hat. However you want to do it. Just decorate it up how you want to. These are adhesive foam stars. I got those at Hobby Lobby. But you can cut out stars however you want to and just glue what you want. Now I'm going to go ahead and add a dollop of glue in his hand. And I'm going to put his hands in there. And I'm just using a 15 millimeter bead just to put it up in there, and pretty much done. Okay, if you like the video, hit like. If you want to see future videos, hit subscribe. And if you want to be notified when I have a video, hit the bell. Thanks for watching.